Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of AWS Show and Tell. You're in for a treat today. Uh, you are going to learn everything you need to know in this session about one of the latest generative AI launches from Amazon, Quick Suite. We've got experts galore. We've got the big brains that know about how all this stuff work on the call. So I'll start. I'm Trevor. I'm a solutions architect here at AWS. My job is working with customers in the field, helping them get value out of these amazing generative AI tools that are coming to market. And I'm joined by Brandon, Vineet, and Vishnu, who are going to help you get started on your Quick Suite journey today. Gentlemen, I'll hand it over to you to do intros, and then we'll get this show on the road.
Awesome. Thanks, Trevor. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon Webb. I'm a solutions architect focused on the federal financial space at Amazon. Again, Quick Suite, I should say, has been a very phenomenal service that's come out with some generative AI capabilities. And so I help customers understand how to use it and how to implement it correctly. Vineet, I'll hand it over to you.
Thanks, Brandon. Hey, everyone. This is Vineet here. I'm a solution architect for Quick Suite here at AWS, and I'm thrilled to be with you today to showcase Amazon Quick Suite live in actions. I've been with AWS for almost 5 years, working across diverse customer segments and industry, helping organizations transform how they work with data and agentic AI. Before joining AWS, I spent time in consulting and finance, gaining hands-on experience across multiple sectors. But at heart, I'm a builder. I love rolling up my sleeves and creating solutions that make a real difference. Today, I'm really excited to be with you to talk about the Quick Suite, how it's revolutionizing enterprise productivity by bringing generative AI-powered search, deep research, and intelligent automatic automation directly to our company data. So, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Vishnu Lingovan. I'm a specialist solution architect here at Amazon Web Services. I'm based out of Seattle, and I work closely with ISV customers and partners. And I try to evangelize as much as possible to bring Quick Suite to all the customers out there in the planet. It's an amazing tool. Really excited to talk about Amazon Quick Suite and showcase some of the cool capabilities it can do.
Love it. Thank you. Thanks all three of you for joining us today and putting together the session. I'm personally excited for this one because this is like my generative AI tool of choice. We're in planning season here at Amazon, and holy moly, has Quick Suite helped me a lot whether it's writing a document, which obviously AI is not too bad at writing documents, but I think today you're going to see how you can actually take a tool like this beyond just a writing partner and actually have it take action in reality. So, instead of just talking about it, Vishnu, why don't we kick things off by showing people what is this tool, Quick Suite, that we're talking about, and then we'll hand it over to Brandon to kind of set things up for us.
Awesome. Yeah, sure. So Amazon Quick Suite, if I want to define it, it's an AI enterprise workspace tool through which you can get answers, perform actions, build agents, share these agents, and do agent-to-agent communications, do deep research agent, apply your business intelligence on your structured data, automate stuff, define workflows, and all of this in one single unified space. And also all of this in an enterprise-grade secure environment. And this screen that you see here is something that you're familiar with. Everyone has been playing around with generative AI tools. And I'm going to talk about my assistant here, which is our default assistant. Consider this as your AI companion in your enterprise. Any information in your organization that's sitting in different silos. Some information could be in your wikis, some information could be in different applications that you use at work. All of this information is indexed and you create a knowledge base. And my assistant has access to this knowledge base, and it can help you answer questions and perform actions on that data. So let's start with a quick example, right? So let me take a persona where I am the lead of a software engineering team, and I'm trying to onboard a new employee into my team. And again, I don't know the HR policies. I'll have to go reach out to HR manager to see how best I can onboard this new person. So instead of doing all of that, I can just directly use Amazon Quick to ask it a simple question. So let me ask, what are the best practices for employee onboarding? So I'm asking my assistant this question, and my assistant will search this information across all the policy documents, all the data that's available in my enterprise, and it's going to give me a well-cited response. And all of this is again vetted and proved and grounded. So as you see, it has given me the first day blueprint and then ongoing support on how I can support my new coworker and also some key success factors that I need to follow. Similarly, you can keep chatting with this interface and you get cited information based on the internal knowledge base. Outside that, you can also do web search. You can also upload data files, and you can also set up cool workflows and automate these processes if you have these repeated tasks. Okay, so a natural question comes up, right? So how is it different from any other general purpose assistant? So I'm going to show you that quickly. So what type of data sources can I connect with QuickSuite? So first is I can set up my knowledge base. All of your documents, be it in PDFs, spreadsheets, CSV formats, all of it can be integrated into a knowledge base through connectors, and we support about 6 to 7 connectors natively through which you can integrate all of these data sources. To name a few: Google Drive, Atlassian, Amazon S3, Microsoft OneDrive, all of these are some of the native connectors through which you can pull the data from your enterprise tools and applications into Amazon Quick Suite. And we also do have action connectors. Action connectors are a little different from data connectors because now you can make actions when you integrate it with Quick. Again, we support a lot of these applications, so you don't have to leave Quick Suite to go to different applications to access these applications. Let's say I'm creating a record in Asana or updating a record in Asana. I don't have to leave my Quick Suite platform. I can just integrate my system with Asana and perform these actions. And again, we do support Model Context Protocol. I'm pretty sure all of you have heard about Model Context Protocol. It's a common standard for you to connect data sources and tools with Quick Suite.
Yo, wait, hold up. Here's a let's see if they were listening. MCP, what's it stand for? If you're in the chat, let me know. What do you think MCP stands for? We actually just gave it away, but here's our first test to see if you're listening. I just got to interject here and say, Vishnu, by the way, like what you're showing here is really like, I think we're going to see it throughout the session, what unlocks the power of Quick Suite. I can give a personal example where the team that I work on, we've kind of integrated all of our like meeting notes and customer interactions to get loaded into basically like a redacted knowledge base. And it makes it like I used to constantly get questions from my manager, like, can you send me an update on this? Can you send me an update on that? Now I just send them my Quick Suite link. It's like, why don't you just ask? Like, we've got it all documented, right? And it's been a very a cool upgrade for how the kind of small 2-pizza team that works with my customer operates. And looky there, we got a MCP whiz in the chat. Thank you for thank you for appeasing me and for proving to me that somebody is there hanging out. Hey, by the way, cybersecurity guy, if you got any other questions throughout the session, we're here to answer. So just throw them out there. Sorry to interrupt, Vishnu. Take us away.
Yes. And the third data source is structured sources. I know this is quite different from other tools out there. You can also connect your databases, data lakes, even data frames through Spark, all your big data tools. So how cool is this? You can connect with all structured data sources with Quick Suite and also apply generative AI on top of these sources. So these are the different types of data sources, and I have some cool demos to showcase. Let me quickly talk about spaces.
Now, Vishnu, I think one thing we wanted to also cover as well, just to make sure that like we set the stage for everyone here. Let me go ahead and share. Trevor, if you don't mind jumping over to kind of the screen that I have over here.
Absolutely. We're going to have this whole session. We're going to continue diving into the features and capability of Quick Suite. But to your point, Brandon, let's level set on kind of like how we're talking to customers about this and all the different goodies that are available.
Well, exactly, because Trevor, what you mentioned, like your team is now getting into this whole state of like, oh, let's really accelerate our teams, the things we're doing. So when you think about QuickSuite, what we're trying to solve for is there's a lot of time that's used, right? Employees are taxed every day, context switching between applications, you got developers, you got business users. They're all moving between different applications, copy and pasting here, send me this link. It's a lot of back and forth. So we see that as a lot of time wasted when you could be working on something that truly matters, right? So when you're doing the analysis or trying to accomplish something, really understanding what am I trying to accomplish? And so what we're seeing is this emergence, right? Of how do we use generative AI in a consolidated space or in a way that helps us accelerate our business use cases, right? So like one thing we think about here is the AI agents, right? When we talk about AI agents, we think, okay, we're getting these agents that are doing our job. Is our job, at risk? What are the things that we should be thinking about? But then the next step, which is really, hey, while we're thinking about AI agents, there's still work that has to be done. Nothing's going to get done day one. So how do we as employees accelerate our learning and our investment into our day-to-day jobs, right? So we see these headlines that there's a transformative period happening. And so together with kind of these ideas of AI agents accelerating the workforce, that's where QuickSuite was born, right? And so it's kind of, we've shared previously, and just to kind of set the stage, we're really focusing today on an HR use case, like an employee onboarding experience that we'll demonstrate throughout these demos today. And to your point, Trevor, right? Like we have like more use cases popping up day to day, especially in the financial services sector, which I'm focused on. But really, as you can see across the top, we're going to highlight on some of these main features. So we're going to talk about spaces for your data organization, customized chat agents, which could be like, think about it as agentic teammates, and then dive into some of the deep research functionalities that QuickSuite has. We won't touch so much on QuickSight. That is kind of like the BI capabilities that are ingrained and very powerful, but not something we'll probably touch deeply on today. But again, when we talk about structured data, that's definitely an area that combining with agentic AI really helps to streamline companies and organizations' processes. But then we also have flows and automation, and this is really going to focus on that whole idea behind how do we build something out? How do we make sure that the processes we have internally today can be accelerated? And not only that, but track the time savings across them. Again, all of this comes with enterprise security controls and frameworks that you can work within your organizations to accomplish. So just wanting to set that stage, Trevor, just so everyone's on the same page about like, what are we talking about with these demos?
No, I love it. And in fact, Brandon, if you don't mind, keep this slide up on your side, because as we go between the demos, I might pull this back up to ground on like you're about, for example, I'm pretty sure the next thing we're going to show people are spaces, right? Which is this capability to organize files, dashboards, and data sources. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Vishnu, to do that. But first, we got a question from the chat. Hey, it's not related to QuickSuite, but I love questions like this, so I got to answer it. So we got a college student on the line. First of all, takes QuickSuite for a spin. I'm going to drop a link in the chat where you can go see our QuickSuite community and learn more about QuickSuite. But if I were you and I wanted to learn more about AWS, I'd suggest starting with AWS certifications, especially as a college student. Really great way to just kind of get started learning the theory and practice behind cloud. So anyway, back to our scheduled programming. You're going to show us a space, Vishnu. What do we need to know about that?
Yes. Let me define what a space is. We did see different data sources. You can build your knowledge base, you can have data sets, but how do you work as a team within Amazon QuickSuite? Of course, internally, we work as a team, we share files, we create folders, we upload documents, and as a team, we work collaboratively. Space is a way for you to organize your data sources and Amazon QuickSuite resources together so that you can have these data sources plugged into an agent. So the first step before we create an agent is to create a space. So it's quite simple. All you have to do is do some file uploads, upload your documents. If you already have an existing knowledge base that we discussed through connectors, you can plug in all of those data. Again, if you are interested in action connectors, you can connect actions to a space. And topics are just basically structured data sets. Create your structured data sets and then create a topic if it's related to one specific category, and pull all of this together into a space. Once you create a space, you can attach or link the space to an agent. So let me show you an example of how you can use a space within an agent. So I know all of you are really excited to see how spaces are linked to agents and how you can create your first chat agent with Amazon Quick Suite. So what are chat agents in Quick Suite? So chat agents are your custom AI companions through which you can connect data sources and connect your tools so that it can perform specialized tasks. What type of task can it do? It can help you answer questions, it can perform actions, and it can do the work for you on your behalf. So I've set up few agents. I'm going to showcase a few prompts and see how my HR policy assistant can help me out. Okay, so HR policy assistant. So I am a stakeholder who's interested to learn more about the policies that we have, especially how many vacation days I have as an employee. So I can ask it a simple question to a chat agent. So let's see what it does, and then we can walk you through how you can create an agent. So how many vacation days do I have remaining? It automatically pulls up an MCP server. It realizes that there is a tool for me. There is an internal portal that can help me give this information back to the agent. So as you see the reasoning step, it tries to call an internal tool. It gets that information and it orchestrates that information to see if that is the right information. How cool is that? So it's calling in an external tool, going through all the permissions, calling different set of APIs, getting the information back, and it's going to relay back the information.
Super cool, because this is not, people may have folks watching may have seen chatbots that are built on an architecture called like RAG, right? And one challenge with that architecture is it tends to be like you have to load data into it, and it's usually a point in time. And so like if I used a vacation day yesterday, it might not ingest. But what you're showing me, we're actually in real time hitting the upstream system to pull real time data, which is not table stakes to do. And in fact, building that yourself, it can be quite an engineering feat. And so to have things like this out of the box with Quick Suite is pretty slick. Pretty slick.
Exactly. So what I was doing here was a read API operation, and it gave me the information back that I have 28 vacation days remaining out of my 30 annual days. And it's also asking me a follow-up question if I would like to submit a time off request. And as I said earlier, it not only just helps you with insights and answers, but it can perform actions. I don't have to go to my HR portal, or if there's a separate tool in your organization to do this action. I can stay in the Amazon Quick Suite interface and try to do the same thing. So let me ask it to submit a time off request. Let's say I can submit time off request. Maybe I can change it into February. Let me ask this question.
I'm curious now because I do not think there is such a date as February 30th to hear how it responds.
That's a good catch.
Oh, no, the AI knew. Great.
Exactly. So as you saw, Amazon Quick Suite is so intelligent and it caught up my mistake. So let's ask it to apply leave and see it automatically pulled up an action review form. And then it automatically populated the fields based on my prompt, March 29th to March 30th. And all I have to do is just click submit, and it's going to perform that operation. So it's, again, what it's doing is it's calling a tool, which is to request time off, and it's calling the database, and it's updating the changes. And I don't have any approval step in between, but if you need approvals, you can add that particular layer, and I'm automatically approved, and it correctly lists down the balance, like which is 26 out of 30 days, and I've used 4 time of days. So this is one example through which how you can connect your chat agents with tools and data sources. So let me show you. Now you saw what was the power of that, but let me show you how I created this agent. And this is such a cool interface because all of this is UI driven, and all of this is a managed resource. So you can start simply by defining what your agent is, what the behavior of the agent is, and you can define the identity of an agent. So what I'm trying to do here is create HR policy assistant, which can do tasks, like creating a vacation time of request, or finding information about a certain policy, or if I have the right permissions, I can even update the policy that's there in my knowledge base. So all I'm doing is creating an agent here, and I'm giving it a system prompt, and this is how I'm steering the agent to do certain things based on the level of customization I can give in my instructions. The next step is basically attaching my knowledge sources. So an agent needs data sources, and it also needs tools to perform actions to help you answer questions. So my next step is connecting my agent to a space. As we discussed earlier, so space has all the data sources that's required by this agent. So I'm connecting this agent to a space. And the next step is connecting my agent to a tool. Here, in my case, it was the HR portal, which is an internal system which has a set of tools and APIs so that it can perform actions when I invoke it using an agent. So this is a setup process, super simple. You can probably create your first agent in QuickSuite in a matter of minutes. And I click launch, and your first chat agent is created using QuickSuite. And I want to showcase one other capability. And I want to talk about one other cool thing that you can do with Amazon QuickSuite. I'm going to pick up a different agent now, which is Workforce Analytics Assistant. As I said in the beginning, you can also work with structured data, and that's a real distinguisher when you compare QuickSuite with other general purpose assistants. You can also create visuals and dashboards through your agents. So let me ask it to create a specific question. So this particular agent is specialized with data about employee feedback, and we can identify the attrition information by prompting it. So I want to know what are
Hey,
the
I thought that feedback was anonymous. Are you telling me that? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'll definitely be
Yes.
at the top, Trevor.
Yeah. I'm very opinionated with my feedback. That is for sure. Anyway.
Yes. So let's ask it the question, right? So I want to know who are the top 5 employees with the highest risk attrition rate. So let's see if it can pull in the right data,
Yeah.
and build these cool visuals for me. So as you see, it correctly identified QuickSight as the tool that can perform this operation, because I'm asking it to create a visualization, and it's going through different knowledge sources here.
What is this visual? What it says employee data topic and like total engagement score. Is this actually, when I see that, should I think this is actually kind of querying a table or like some data set that sits in QuickSight as you're calling it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we can look at the data source. So I just created or uploaded a CSV spreadsheet file. You can even connect it to a database and build a structured data source. And this CSV or spreadsheet has all the information about the employees. It has feedback, and it also has certain risk scores, employee satisfaction, employee engagement scores. All of that is available in that data source. And with that information, I'm creating what I call as a topic. Topic is just a logical way to group structured data sources together, and you can connect a topic to a space. So before I dive into the details, let's look at the result. As you see here, it is beautifully created a visual for me, and it's super easy for me to understand who are the employees that are most likely to leave my organization, and based on the risk scores.
So
And
cool.
it,
So cool. You know what? As I see these demos, like one thing I like to when I'm talking to customers, when I'm trying to simplify, like some things that you could do with generative AI, I like to walk through the lens of like my mental model is like, can I eliminate the number of clicks that I need to do something productive, right? And I could really from the PTO request to something like this, I could really see how you could spend a lot of your time in this single interface, just kind of giving commands to Quick Suite. Like even if your demo of requesting time off, right? It's like you don't usually just request time off. You request time off, and you email your manager, and you send out a calendar invite with your team's alias, and to be able to just have a single action that triggers that flow of events feels like a real productivity boon. Should we keep digging into spaces, or would it be a good time to mix it up and take a peek at some of these other capabilities? What do you think?
I think it's a perfect time to dissect into flows. You can automate all of these processes and create a flow. Yeah, let's go ahead with flows.
Let's do it. And before we get into that flows demo that Vineet has so kindly prepped for us, I'll go back to our beautiful architecture slide here and say, so like we're about to see flows, Vineet. How would you describe flows before we get into the demo?
Sure. So let's start with the Quick Suite provide two automation feature. One is the Amazon Quick Suite Flow, and another one is Amazon Quick Automate. If I quickly talk about the automate, think of as a agentic business process automations that can handle multi-agent automations for the most complex enterprise processes that can span across departments, UI, API interactions. Whereas the flow you can think of is again automations that empower everyone, including the business user, to transform everyday task into automated workflow. The demo which Vishnu shared, right, like where he asked for how many leave left, and then he applied for the vacations. You can see this is step-by-step process. Using that flow, you can put together all that step-by-steps and then build that flow. And the interesting thing is like once you build that flow and you feel like okay it's improving my productivity, you can share with other team members so that they can use it. Think of flow is part of your two pizza team, or I will say one pizza team, where you can use flow day to day life, right? uh, Personally, I use flow every day. It's my favorite feature within the Quick Suite.
All right.
It's helped me to improve my productivity with no code interface. Why not I quickly show you the demo?
That sounds perfect. I'm excited to see one of these flows in action. And we got a nice question too that I want to address. Somebody in LinkedIn asked, hey, how is chunking happening under the hood? You know what's so great about this? It's a managed service. You don't have to think about it. if you set up RAG and vector databases, oh man, you get into some real mathematics. You get into chunking and KNN algorithms, and certainly you can integrate Quick Suite with a vector database, but you will not have to, just at least out of the box with these integrations, fuss with all of the knobs that you need to optimize it, which is lovely. Amazon's assumedly done a lot of that optimization for you, which isn't that nice. So sorry to interrupt you, Vineet. I'll hand it over to you for the demo.
Awesome. Yeah. Again, take a scenario, right? Like as Vishnu talked about, like he's looking to hire new employee. Let's say we hire the employee, and then the onboarding process, right? Usually you see that onboarding process is again a repetitive task, which required significant amount of time and manual effort. Think like we need to enter the new employee into the employee record management. We also need to send a welcome letter that can be the personalized, as well as we also need to create a couple of IT tickets where we need to request for badge access. And you can see all these tasks required to interact with custom applications. We need to manual email compositions, as well as coordinate across multiple departments. So what I did is I created the employee onboarding flow where again I use the various different APIs as a backend as we talk about MCPs, various different actions, and then put together all these steps within the flow as a workflow. So here on my screen, I have this onboarding flow, which I pre-filled with the new employee, whose name is John Doe, with the email address, department, position, hire date, and let's start that flow. And once I start the flow, it will go through all the steps by steps. So it's first checking that if that employee exists in the database or not. So first we need to check. So it will again make an API call with that email address that, hey, if that email address is exist or not. And you can see that employee is not exist in that, so we can proceed further. And then also the flow has sort of reasoning where you can apply a logic. So take an example of if John Doe exists in the email address, it exists, it will show the error that, hey, that email IDs exist, so we may want to use the different email address for that employee. Now since it's not exist, I will go ahead and then create the employee record. And as you can see, it's executing. Within the center part, you can see the complete forms UI, but also on the left hand side you will see the status of each steps. So we fill out all the input details. Now it's creating the employee creation flow, and then let's say I click submit. Again here it's called the create employee record, which is again it's make a call to the API to create the employee record in the database. As you can see, like, I don't need to go through various different applications to create the employee record. Everything I'm creating here, employee record has been created successfully in my database. It's also created the welcome email for the John to welcome to the team. And the good thing is, like, while creating this flow, it also uses the knowledge base, the space which Vishnu talked about, to sort of use that repository to generate those welcome email and the customized welcome email. After that, I want to send that welcome email. So it again surface a form, and then it says subject with the welcome to any company, to whom it need to send the email with the subject, and then let's submit a form again. And what it does is it send a welcome email to the new employee. After that, what next, right? We also need to create a IT trigger to for the badge request. So as you can see within the flow, we have also added to create the badge trigger. So it's creating a badge trigger, and then let's again submit a flow. And then finally it will create the onboarding summary. So as you can see, like, we can put to automate all these different processes and define in a step-by-step process in a workflow way. And within the flow, you can see that on the left hand side we can see all the status of different steps. In the center part we can execute trigger that flow, and then on the right hand side it also provide to have a conversational interface for the response flow is generated. Uh, we can also trigger the flow from here, where we can provide all the details all together to run that flow. Now as we onboarded employees, let's talk about how I created this flow. So creating a flow, we can create a flow in a multiple way. Again, take an example of Vishnu, where he created the agent, where he first asked for the how many leaves left, and then he applied for the vacations, right? Within that conversations, we can create the flow from that conversation, as well as if we go back to the flow homepage, we can click on create flow, and it's allowed two way of creating flow. One is we can provide a prompt of description of what the flow will do, or we can start with the blank flow. And here, uh, the flow provide various different steps. So here, as you can see within the steps, we have the first user input, where we can add the text input or the file upload. And then we can use various different actions or the AI response. We can use the application actions, where it can connect to the various different application, or even the API, or even the model context protocol. We can also get the data from the quick suite data. Here we can get the data from whether it is in the topic, or whether it's in the spaces. We can link to specific space as well as knowledge base. We can also create an image within the flow, as well as we can also use the UI agent. What UI agent is, think of you have legacy application which doesn't have API. How you will connect? So this UI agent provide to perform a task on the website. So we can add a UI agents where you can provide a prompt and it will go and open that website, get the content for you, and then you can process those content. We also have the general knowledge, which basically use the model knowledge to get you the response, as well as we can add a step of web search. For the steps where you want to get to the web search, it can get the data from the web, as well as you can trigger the research also from within the quick suite. We also have the reasoning group, which we see in the demo, where reasoning group provide you instructions to the underlying agents to when to run one or more steps based on the logic. So you can think of like where if you want to iterate through different loops, you can provide those in the reasoning group. So as you can see for the
one quick thing, sorry to interject here, but like Trevor, like I think why a lot of us at Amazon as well as customers are loving this is like throughout this entire thing, there hasn't been like gotta go write code, right? This is very business centric, but at the same time, you get that ability to like, hey, I can dive in, I can create something. So I see it all the time, new flows popping up internally that are like, wow, someone's really working with this or building out this kind of workflow. I really think that's powerful because, you know, being able to pull data from different sources within an organization, obviously there's going to be some governance things organizations got to talk about, but holistically, like having a natural language way to be able to create flows, I think is a huge value that a lot of us are seeing internally.
Would it be worth taking just a moment to talk on what you mentioned, that governance piece? Because I think like to me, what you just showed me, Vineet, it's like to me this is a no brainer. Like it's like you need this capability to be able to automate certain work streams and flows. But like what do we say to a customer that is nervous that employee A might get access to data that employee B that employee A shouldn't have access to, or there's this upstream system that I want to make sure this contractor group can't access. That's something we've thought about with QuickSuite.
Yep, that's a valid point. With the respect to the governance and control, right? So they say different level, right? So when you talk about when I run that flow, I want to make sure that it follow the permission access that user has, right? And that's where it, let's say if you are connecting to the applications, when we connect to the applications, there you can define the authentication mechanism where you can have the three-legged O, where it will assume the user identity to take this action, so that if I don't have access to the system or to, it won't allow you to do it. Whereas it can have a system to system two-legged O, that's where you will use within the automate feature. The again governance aspect, that's a Brandon bring a good point, is I create that flow, right? And also I want to have a governance around that flow, which can be done by the administrator of QuickSuite. Again, take example of I have created this onboarding flow. I can share that flow with my organization, with my teammate, right? But I still want to have some sort of governance so that I only share the flow which is required to. And I can dictate that by having some sort of approval process. So let's say if I share that flow, it will go through the approval process. And if the admin approve, then only it will become the it get public.
Oh, that's cool. That's very cool that we have that kind of like that middle check. That's really nice.
Awesome. Yep. And very interesting thing, right? I run this flow, but many customer has the use case where they want to schedule the flow, right? And I found that feature very cool, and I use it, right? As I mentioned, flow is part of my team, right? And then we build that flow shared with the team, but I can schedule the flow. I can schedule a run where it can run, and I can define when it needs to run, and I will get the data when I need it. Think of like I have a meeting tomorrow with my customer. I can say, hey, flow, can you run at this time? Here's the customer name. It's look into my data. It also do the web search about the customer and then give the complete 360 detail about my customer so that I prep for
yeah. I'm for sure going to build a meeting prep. I would love, because I usually have 4 or 5 meetings a day at least. I would love to have something like this. Look at my calendar, confirm who are these contacts, who am I talking to? Maybe even if it just gave me a note outline to start from and maybe a little context going into the meeting. That seems like something easy to build that would make my life a lot easier, and I'd probably show up a little bit more prepared to those customer calls too. So that's a great idea, Vineet. That's a really cool idea.
And the
Trevor,
thing right? It's not for the developer or anything. It's meant for everyone. If it's a business user, any user within organization can use that flow, build the flow, and share with the team.
And Trevor, just don't forget, we won't cover on this call, but there's a mobile app. So, I mean, if you want to get into the mobile app too, people on the call, that's another thing to look at as well. We did support a mobile app that we just launched. So
Today I learned I'm gonna have to download that thing and take it for a spin. Amazing. Well, I feel like that was a really good explanation of flows and how they work. And I mean, I feel like what was great about what you just showed us is I feel like you might not even need to look at the docs. You might just be able to log in and start moving things around and figuring out how it works. I love when you can use a product without having to read the docs. I know we like when customers read the docs, but I don't read the docs, so I don't expect customers to read the docs. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Vineet, that may be one of two action-packed demos you've got for us today. If I'm not, we might even next up on the agenda be digging into research agents, which is something I think folks that are listening live, you may have heard like deep research and like research tools in the past. How is QuickSuite relevant here in the research space?
Yep. So again, the research agent is again agentic capability within the Quick Suite. It enabled us to do the comprehensive research by analyzing multiple data source and generating the detailed report. Using the the research agent, it helped to gather, analyze, and synthesize informations from various sources, including the web search, upload file, and connecting data source. Why not I show you quickly? I will start with showing one report which I generated today morning, and again, which is around the what is the best practice for remote work policy. Think of like I have a call with the customer, and then they wanted to understand how the different remote work policy looks like within a mid-sized company, right? And I have no idea like where I get this information from. What I did is like I took a help from research agent. I started with simple objective that, hey, can you give me the current best practices for remote work policies? And then I provided some data, which like material. And then also I instruct that you can go and look into the website, but make sure you look into the premium news website. Don't look into the social media blogs or individual corporate announcement. And then I also connected to my space where I have the sample HR document file. And then what research did is it's created the blueprint first, and then I like all the detail, but I also added that can you also add some sort of legal aspect of it? And then after that I start the research. When I start the research, usually it's take time because it's need to go and look into all the different data sources and build that comprehensive report. And once done, you can see that it's give me complete detailed report. And not only that, it also provide me the statement to understand like how it's come up with that statement. You can help and read more evidence about that particular statement, like how where it's get those details from. It also provide the citations from where it pulled all these details, and then it's give me complete detail about as well as with including the visualizations as well as all the sources. So if I scroll down, you can see it provide all the sources where it's get the data from. Not only that, let's say if I read through that and then found like these particular sections need refinement, I can add a comment. I can add a comment here, and then all the comment will accumulate, and then I can restart the research. So it's not that one-time process. I can version that research and start the research. Once I feel like that research report is good, I can summarize that research report into a two-page summary, or I can create a custom summary or even the Amazon style document. Now, let's see how I created the research. Again, it's a few click process. You don't need to sort of go there. Everything is within one quick suite unified platform. So to start the research, we start with research objective. And as mentioned earlier, like within a web search, we can define what are the preferred website, what are the website to avoid. I can upload my files as well as connected to the various data sources. The one of the interesting part is we are also partnering with various different third party data provider. So you can see like if I for my research, If I want to get the data from, let's say, FactSet, IDC, S&P Global, I can bring the data from there. The only caveat is for getting the third-party data, you need to have a subscription for those third-party data. And once I have that, I can start the review plan or I can start the research right away. Another thing is, as you can see in the flows demo, I can even start the research from within the flow. So you can see a lot of collaboration even between the different features. And then within the research, let's say I have created the research. We had a small functionality based on the user feedback, right? So for example, you can see there's a lot of things going on, and I want to have focus mode because in this research, it has a lot of content. I can go into the reading mode, and then I can just read through my research to understand what the quick suite research give me, and then able to sort of get the comprehensive or detailed information about those research. As well as here you can see that what topics it's created, and then I can go through go there and then just filter it where the topic is there and then read it through. Another thing is, as we see within the flow, I can share the flow. We can also share the research with the team member. I can even download the PDF or into the Word document.
Oh, that's so sick. See, like you had me sold when you showed me that. Like, I hadn't seen that feature where you could provide feedback, comments, and I feel like I oftentimes am caught. Maybe people watching have been caught in this loop where I write this beautiful prompt and I ask assistant to generate some document for me, and then it doesn't quite do what I want, and so then I'm like, oh wait, this can you change this sentence, and then it regenerates it, and then it's changed something else. Like, it's just it's not a very good like UX, but something simple like, let me add a comment, or like, oh, please fact check this number doesn't seem correct, or like, actually I'd like you to frame it this way, and then you just have it rerun all of those comments at the end. Feels like a huge time saver. And then you showed me I can export it to a Word document, which took me over the moon, just because in my job I'm just constantly moving documents around. So it's a very cool feature. It's a very cool capability. I think there's just like, I guess what's interesting, and some people in the chat are even starting to like pick up on it, is like, there's like this thing can do a lot. Like, this is not your typical AI assistant. I give you a chat box and then you get answers. Like, this is like I feel like there's, in fact, I'll even bring up somebody asked a great question about like, who is this for, right? Like when we built this, like what was the like customer that we had in mind? And it's one of those weird situations where I think the answer is like everybody, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
It's like one of those ubiquitous technologies where, if you would search a wiki, you would use QuickSuite. If you would schedule a meeting, you would use QuickSuite. If you would send an email, you would use QuickSuite. It'd be easier to, it'd probably be harder to, maybe a better question is like, who wouldn't use QuickSuite or a tool like this, right?
I would say it's for everyone, and we can build all different use cases, right? As you can see, research agents, we just pull up the unstructured data, but think of like, if we add the structured data and is doing a research, we can do deep analysis, right? Where is with the financial sector, legal, you can talk about various different domains.
Yeah, I think one interesting anecdote is internally at Amazon, we use Amazon QuickSuite. So not just business users or tech users, I see people from all functions like finance, sales, account teams, quite literally everyone building their own flows and research agents, and that's something very different that I've seen. Often it takes some time to onboard onto a new tool, but then this is so easy for you to get started. Everyone is trying to see where they can automate stuff, where they can reduce time and spend on strategy.
I'd love to share an example, because like, I work in a team where I'm the solutions architect, so I'm the technical person, and then I work with account managers and CSMs and people that are less technical. I feel like 6 months ago I felt like a maniac, because I would build all these chatbots in my own custom MCP. I'm like, guys, look, it's amazing what you can do with MCP, and they'd be like, okay, like, I can't do that. I'm not a developer. And ever since all of my non-technical counterparts got Quick Suite in their hands, like the opposite is happening, where they're the ones sending me like, yo, Trevor, check out this flow that I just built. Hey, yo, check out this assistant. This is really going to help us on the team. I think just highlighting to your point, it's like this is a tool for, like, of course, engineers are going to use AI, but the barrier to entry here is, do you have a computer and a pulse? I think,
I can't stop thinking of the use cases either, right? Like, I'm out for a day, got to summarize everything. Oh, sweet. Just going through all my team's notes. If we already connected everything, what did I miss? What are the highlights? What are the key points? There's so many like different use cases that you could bring to Quick Suite. And like you said, Vineet, right? Structured data. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things. The use cases are really limitless. I haven't found one yet that hasn't been a good fit, but again, there are some. I'm sure there are, but just overall, it's solving a lot of the business users and what they're trying to focus on and automate.
Yeah, definitely. I think somebody in the chat actually did make a clarifying point, which I agree with for now, but we'll see what changes in the future. Is that really this is designed for the enterprise, right? This probably isn't something that I would buy a personal subscription to, at least maybe not today, but I'd love to have that option in the future. But absolutely, this is something, given that if you look at the integrations and integration with enterprise systems, this is definitely something that I think, we already know enterprises are considering tools like this. And I think this year they'll certainly be looking at Quick Suite now that it's an option. So somebody asked maybe the most important question of the stream, folks. Is it Quick Suite or Quick Swipe? What happened here? Was there a name change? Because does anybody have? Is there a public history we can give to answer that question? It is. I will say it is Quick Suite, but Quick Site is still a thing, and it seems like they play together nicely too, from what I saw today.
And even we can call it Quick.
There we go. Let's just call it Quick. I like that. We'll just call it Quick.
Yeah,
I think it could be a verb. I just quicked it.
I think if you like look at the historical context, right? Quick Site, our BI tool, was what was first there, right? We had that BI tool, structured data, and then with agentic AI, MCP, and all the buzzwords that are going on right now, agentic being one of the top ones right now, it's now become, well, rather than just having BI, why don't we bring BI, automations, and chat, right? We've covered today all together in one Quick Suite of services. Now that's a tongue twister, right? Quick Site, Quick Suite. Say that 5 times fast. Yeah, it's really challenging, but I think it's been interesting to see the adoption, because as customers are looking at Quick Suite, there might be certain use cases. They're like, oh, our team is using Quick Site because they need BI. A team is using the chat feature because they need a chat agent. But once they start seeing that power of, wait, I can use all three, or I can turn features on and off depending on which segments of the customer are wanting to have it. Just quite incredible.
And I will also call out, Brandon, that the mobile app, right? You can bring Quick where you are at, right? You can trigger the Quick Suite from the Teams, Slack. We have the embedding feature where you can embed the chat agents within your custom application, or even within the Outlook or the Word document.
And also browser extension.
Yep.
All right, I just downloaded the app. It had better deliver. I'm gonna be sharing some feedback via Slack after this. Let you know how my first experience with the app was. It's got 5 stars so far. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I'm excited to try this one out. Gentlemen, the hour has just flown by. But I'll tell you, this was a fun session for me, folks watching in the chat or checking out the YouTube recording later. I hope that you all got something out of the session. I want to make sure everybody knows, if you want to learn more, first of all, if you're an AWS customer, you can always ask your friendly neighborhood solutions architect or account manager or TAM or whoever at Amazon that you like working with if you'd like to hear more about Quick Suite. We've also got a really cool resource I want to share in the chat that you showed me earlier today, Vineet, which is our Quick Site community. And I would strongly suggest folks that attended today or caught the recording and want to learn more about Quick Suite to start there. And like keep your feedback coming. I mean, this is I think of all times when we need customer feedback, it's whenever we're getting this initial adoption and investment from customers. And so just want to keep learning from the community, all these amazing use cases that you are building out, what you like, what you don't like, so that way we can keep iterating with you all. like I said, guys, thanks so much for coming along. Any final words of wisdom for these what should we call it? Quick sweeters? Are they quickies for these future quick sweet users? Any words of wisdom or last things you want to call out before we let folks go on about their Tuesday evening?
Let's go build.
Let's go build. That is good enough for me. I think we will call it at that. Thank you all so much for joining us for the last hour, and tune in next week for another episode of AWS Show and Tell if you're into that sort of thing. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.